A family still upset and demanding more from Loveland Police.
By now, you've likely seen this police body cam video of the rough arrest of a 73-year-old. Her name's Karen Gardner, who walked out of a Walmart without paying for $20 worth of items. Well, today, the district attorney announced that 2 of the officers involved are facing criminal charges.
But the family and their attorney, they're now questioning whether those charges are enough.
The DenverChannel.com brings us this story. 2 former Loveland police officers face charges in relation to their arrest of 73-year-old Karen Gardner last year. The charges for former officers Austin Hopp and Daria Jalali come after the 8th Judicial District Critical Incident Response Team completed its review of the violent arrest of Gardner, who has dementia.
Denver 7's Lance Hernandez is joining us live now from Loveland.
Lance, clearly there, the family's still dealing with the trauma of all this.
They're very distraught, and they say that Karen has not been the same since the day of her fateful interaction with Loveland Police. Now, she was arrested in June of 2020 following an alleged shoplifting incident. Body cam video shows her being taken to the ground. She was handcuffed up against the car and suffered a separated shoulder, broken arm, sprained wrist in the process. And family members tearfully told Denver 7 today the trauma she experienced on that day has speeded up her dementia.
Online court records showed Hopp faced charges of second-degree assault causing serious bodily injury, attempt to influence a public servant, and official misconduct. The first 2 charges are felonies. The record showed Jalali faces charges of failure to report use of force by a peace officer, failure to intervene, and first-degree official misconduct. All 3 counts are misdemeanors.
Now, it's rare that police officers are charged with a crime for their actions during an arrest. The 8th Judicial District Attorney says officers can use reasonable force in effecting an arrest, but they say what Austin Hopp did on that day was excessive force, and that's not all.
On Wednesday, May 19th, 8th Judicial District Attorney Gordon McLaughlin confirmed the charges in a news conference. The CERT said earlier this month they plan to finish their independent review, which was led by the Fort Collins Police Services, by the middle of the month. The review was initiated April 19th, a week after an attorney for Gardner filed a federal lawsuit against the police department and officers claiming they used excessive force in arresting Gardner, allegedly breaking her arm and dislocating her shoulder in the process.
Instead of embracing us because we are her loved ones, she pushes us away instead of reaching over and just touching us to let us know she cares. She just pulls away.
She doesn't smile since then. She just is so overwhelmed. We've talked to her caretakers about her PTSD from all of this, and it has truly changed the progression of how her dementia was going.
I feel like the lack of empathy in the action of the officers that were involved, this isn't just only affecting my mom and my family, it's also affecting this whole city of Loveland.
Hopp and Jalali had not turned themselves in or been arrested on the warrants as of the news conference, in which McLaughlin and Fort Collins Police Chief Jeff Swoboda discussed the investigation and charges, but McLaughlin said his office had indications that they do plan to turn themselves in. The investigation led to a 700-page report that was presented to McLaughlin in a 2-hour presentation, Swoboda said. McLaughlin said the investigation found that Hopp made substantial omissions when being interviewed about the incident in an attempt to thwart the investigation of his conduct, which led to the attempt to influence a public servant count.
The investigation in this case showed that Austin Hopp used excessive force in the arrest of Miss Gardner, and that resulted in serious bodily injury to Miss Gardner. Further, the investigation showed that Daria Jalali, having witnessed that excessive force, failed to live up to her duties under the law and as a sworn peace officer to either intervene or report in that conduct.
McLaughlin said, "I believe this decision speaks clearly to our community that accountability will be achieved. Two of the charges Jalali faces, the failure to report use of force and failure to intervene, have new teeth under criminal statutes that were passed in a Senate Bill 217 last year, the Sweeping Police Accountability Bill."
Not surprised by the charges. My reaction is we have two former employees that were charged with crimes. They do not work here. So our reaction is extreme disappointment, and as a community, as a police department, as human beings here, we're very upset by it.
McLaughlin said that without those charges, he believes that would have made this case significantly more difficult to prosecute.
Officer Hopp, the former officer, I should say, has been charged with second-degree assault, attempting to influence a public servant, and first-degree official misconduct. Daria Jalala has been charged with second-degree assault, attempting to influence a public servant, and also first-degree official misconduct. The family's attorney says both of those officers could have faced a myriad of other charges, including kidnapping. And she says that other officers who witnessed that video and said or did nothing should also be charged.
All right, guys, so I'll put a link to this story in the description box below. It's pretty lengthy. It's going to take you a minute to read it. It's long. I gave you a slice of a huge cake, so to speak. So it's a really long story, but it talks about a lot of good stuff in there. One of the senators comments on the bill that they passed. Sergeant Metzler, they mentioned him still being on leave. They're still looking at if he did anything wrong. He was the sergeant that was assigned to that case, or the watch commander, the sergeant that comes out to the calls. But he's still on leave. Chief Ticer said the officers have gone through Alzheimer training and de-escalation training. It doesn't matter. They go through all kinds of de-escalation training, and their ego still gets the best of them. But there's a lot of other stuff that I didn't give you that's in this story. It's really long. It talks about what the family has to say. It talks about the family's lawyer in the lawsuit that they filed. Now, remember when they were in the jail video where they were all laughing at the video. Remember this Jalali laughed, and I remember a comment she said when they're watching the part of the video where she arrives at the call. She goes, "And here comes Jalali."
I'm here.
Yeah, I wonder if she's saying that now. She's facing charges. Yeah, in the courtroom. Here comes Jalali in the courtroom, right? You should say that since you thought it was so funny that you were arriving to the call where the lady got tortured. I got a lot of animals over here making all kind of noise. But you can go ahead and read the whole thing down in the description box below if you're really interested in this. These two police officers who tortured that elderly woman with dementia have been charged. One of them with 2 felonies. But are they going to be convicted? And if so, what will be their sentence? Because remember, they're cops. And the blue line still extends from the police academy to the judge's bench. Remember that. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Community Leo Watch. Watching Leos, that's law enforcement officers, to include those getting charges from coast to coast.